Our top story, a key U.S. ally grappling right now with carnage and chaos in Karachi, Pakistan. At least 124 people are dead, 320 wounded after bombs ripped through the crowd welcoming home the former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto. She spent the last 8 years in exile, hopes to regain a share of the power, but she's also spoken frankly of the risks she faces. Listen to this.
I'm aware of the threats for my security, and this has been discussed with General Pervez Musharraf. I'm also writing him a letter, and I'm mentioning the hands, the hidden hands, who will be responsible if any untoward action happens. Because I believe that there are certain people who have gained a lot through dictatorship. They have presided over the rise of extremism. They have created safe havens in the tribal areas of Pakistan for the Taliban and other militants, and they fear my return.
Benazir Bhutto speaking in Dubai just before leaving to return to Pakistan. Let's bring in the veteran journalist Arnaud de Borchgrave. He's editor-at-large at UPI. He's also a senior advisor at the Center for Strategic and International Studies here in Washington, and a good friend. Arnaud, you were in touch directly with Benazir Bhutto in the hours leading up to her decision to go back today to Pakistan. Tell our viewers how that exchange went.
Well, the email came in at midnight her time, and we're about 10 hours, I believe, behind them. So it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, in which she mentioned names of 3 people. She said she told Musharraf.
Let me read to you from the email that she sent you, and we'll put it up on the screen. I have been informed that Baitul Masood, an Afghan, Hamza bin Laden, an Arab, and a Red Mosque militant have been sent to kill me. Those are pretty chilling words. Media reports in Pakistan insist that Masood himself is denying this, but give us some perspective what this means.
Well, she's been well aware that she was going into deep trouble, because she asked me about a week ago not to accompany her back on the flight, as I think you were supposed to be on that flight too.
She invited me to go back with her when she was here, sitting exactly where you were. She said, come back to Pakistan with me on my plane. Obviously, I couldn't do that, but she invited you as well.
She invited me and said I could sit up front with her and get an interview with her after she landed. Of course, when you saw the chaos today, there would have been no interview. But what was extraordinary is that she had a premonition and advised me about a week ago not to come. And since my wife was having minor surgery at that time, I decided to skip it. I also know the intelligence advisor she has in Pakistan, who's been telling her that if she gets back as prime minister, and that's still a big if on the political horizon, if she gets back, her biggest problem will be the federally administered tribal areas in the north, the 7 tribal agencies.
Supposedly where Osama bin Laden is hiding out. But, you know, our correspondent there on the scene, right close to her motorcade, Dan Rivers, he said security was sort of weak, if at all, that people were just coming up and doing what they want. You would think, knowing the fears, knowing that she's seen as pro-U.S., a woman, in fact, that a lot of the Islamic fundamentalists would not want to see a woman ruling Pakistan or even having a significant political role there. You would think the security would be tight.
Well, there was a lot of security. 3,500 extra policemen were assigned to that route. And, of course, you had about 1 million people welcome her back home, and clearly the security people were overwhelmed. I understand that her vehicle was also hit. Miraculously, she escaped. But she's got one hell of a tough problem ahead of her. Again, getting back to the federally administered tribal areas, it's all Taliban now. The army is not operating.
Because for the U.S., this is a huge, huge potential nightmare. This is a strategically important country in South Asia with a nuclear arsenal, an Islamic country with a huge Islamic fundamentalist population. Many of them support al-Qaeda or the Taliban. The worst case scenario for the U.S. is that the bad guys, get their hands on Pakistan's nuclear arsenal. How scared, how worried should we be about that?
I think very worried when you look at the performance or lack of performance of the Pakistani army in the tribal areas that separate Afghanistan from Pakistan. A few weeks ago, 245 of these soldiers were captured they surrendered without firing a shot. Quite a few of them, I'm told, have joined Taliban. These are Pakistani soldiers. All of this is denied all the time. sometimes by the ambassador here, sometimes by the Prime Minister. They don't know what's going on up there. But this intelligence man is working directly with Benazir Bhutto and has been reporting to her exactly what is going on. And Al-Qaeda and Taliban controlled that whole area today.
Her father was assassinated, as you well remember. He was a prime minister. How worried should she be right now? She wants to get out there and start campaigning, running for office, and clearly, especially in a city like Karachi, a hotbed of Islamic fundamentalism, that's not so easy.
She should be very worried, given the fact that Musharraf will continue as president for the next 5 years, probably with his uniform off. But he'll still be not in charge of the army, but with close contacts at the highest level of the army and the intelligence service. And I would expect that these military entities will heed Musharraf more than they will heed Benazir Bhutto if she makes it back as prime minister.
We'll watch this story with enormous ramifications for all of us. Arnaud, thanks for coming in. Arnaud de Borchgrave watching this story. He knows the subject.